Greetings and welcome to Black Talk Radio, where black radio stations matter and black lives certainly matter. Today is Wednesday, January 17, 2018. Today's video is about a record that's being broken by none other than Donald J. Trump, who ends his first year in office with the lowest average approval rating. You heard it, and this isn't fake news. Today, it's been reported that Donald Trump is wrapping up a year in office with the lowest average approval rating of any elected president in his first term. Let's look at those numbers. That's according to polling by Gallup, which shows that Trump has averaged just a 39% approval rating since his inauguration. The previous low was held by Bill Clinton, whose first year average stood 10 points higher than Trump's at 49%. Well, Trump's current approval rating in Gallup's weekly poll is comparable to his average rating, standing at just 38%, with 57% of Americans saying they disapprove. Presidents have recovered from periods of low popularity before. For example, Clinton's rating fell to just 37% in June 1993 before quickly regaining ground, and he went on to win re-election. Harry S. Truman held the approval of less than 40% of Americans for significant chunks of his first term and was also re-elected. He went on to set Gallup's lowest ever approval mark at just 22% in 1952. Let's just hope and pray that Donald Trump does not win a second term. There's been a lot of talk of that, of course, by his supporters, but we all know that that's less than half of Americans. So with that, we're going to bank on it that, well, we're going to be a lot smarter Americans, and we won't all be donkeys of the day. Anyways, let's move on to the next story here. What do we have? Well, this story is actually piggybacking on the first story. This story is about that there's no way African Americans are warming up to Trump. For some odd reason, there's some talk and speculation that his approval rating has, well, improved where black Americans are concerned, and, well, I'm here to say that that is likely fake news. Anyone who has reported that, they're pushing a story that is filled with propaganda, because there's just no way that that's the case. Well, mix one flawed poll with one enthusiastic Fox News anchor and one gullible viewer in the White House. That's what this story is about. D. Watkins of Saloon writes, "My guilty pleasure is checking President Donald Trump's Twitter feed for laughs. On those darkest days, his half-baked logic, his childish rants, and his never-ending supply of cheap shots at the most random of people make for great comedy." Well, that's true, because yes, he is a comedian. But today, while the president watched Fox News during his executive time, I think he may have lost his mind. Well, let me show you what he's talking about. Trump tweets, "Unemployment for black Americans is the lowest ever recorded. Trump approval ratings with black Americans has doubled. Thank you. And it will get even much better at Fox News." Now, again, this is a man who has lost his mind, because first and foremost, those numbers are totally incorrect. Donald Trump is trying to push a story that is fake news. It's false. They are not accounting for the high percentage of number of black males who are incarcerated, that are not even a part of the system, and a number of other issues that makes this claim so false. I think Tone Talks covered this issue, and he explained it way better than I could, but nonetheless, he exposed how this message is quite dangerous, and it is. And so I'm going to piggyback on that and say that, well, Donald Trump, this is fake news that you tweeted right here. You should stay off Twitter. Anyways, let's move on to the third and final story of today, at least in this video. It's about, Coon. Well, this story is about the St. Louis police chief and the director of public safety, which his name is Jimmy Edwards, and he's the coon I'm talking about. He says that blacks killing blacks is a problem facing African Americans that needs to be addressed. And as if he doesn't realize that we've been addressing this issue for the longest. And I'm going to get to that, as a matter of fact, because I'm going to put his behind on the hot seat for making this claim. He needs to do something if he wants to keep his job. I think we need to put his little behind on the hot seat for a minute. Anyways, pictured here in this picture is, on the left here is the St. Louis police chief. His name is John Hayden. And on the right is of the police chief is the director of public safety. His name is Jimmy Edwards. And he's here carrying this banner, as you could see, of Dr. Martin Luther King at the Dr. Martin Luther King Day parade on Monday, June 15th. Anyways, this brother, I'll say it loosely, he goes in to say, and I quote, "This message is for black folks," Edwards said during remarks Monday at the annual downtown ceremony honoring the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He continues, of the city's 205 murders last year, 204 of the victims were African American, Edwards said. Quote, 100% of the people that were caught and accused of those crimes were African Americans. We have to address that. We cannot go forward and continue King's dream unless we look in the mirror and address that problem. That's a problem that's on us, unquote. And then he goes in to say, lastly, that I'm going to read anyways, for this little story, is that, quote, in order for Chief Hayden to have any success, in order for Judge Edwards to have any success, you've got to step forward, unquote, Edwards said, urging the public to report crimes and work with law enforcement to create a safer community. Where do I begin? You know, as he's carrying this banner of Martin Luther King Jr., I'm sure if it's not Martin Luther King's niece, who is a coonette, if it's not for his nephew, Isaac, who I did a video on, who is also a coon, then it's people like this public safety director, Jimmy Edwards, who then goes into saying that, yes, this message is for black folks, that we need to talk about the problem that's on us. Well, here's what I'm going to say to that. You're the public safety director, right? We're going to put the onus on you and the St. Louis police to do your jobs, because that's the problem. You guys don't care. When it comes to black life, you don't care. You don't even try to find out who the murderer is. And then those that you do find out, sure, you do something about it, but for the most part, you're not even trying to do it for the most part, for most cases. Sure, you do for the high profile cases, but you know, it doesn't seem like you're doing your job out there. So that's what I would suggest for you, Jimmy Edwards, especially, is to do your job. So if it means that you need to gather the financial support to put in safety cameras in high profile violent areas, then you need to do that. But instead of your police officers harassing people who are not doing anything wrong, you know, just racial profiling, have them do their jobs and find out who these real criminals are. That's a first and foremost. And then let's get to your message. Your message that the black people should, work with the law enforcement. How about you first and foremost get law enforcement not to kill us while we're unarmed, and then maybe black people will start working with the police. But until then, black people are not going to work with the police when you have police departments across America, A, incarcerating us in large numbers for small crimes, like marijuana, that now you're allowing white people to profit from legally. While you got us locked up in your prisons and jails across America, why don't you look into changing that? If you want to do something significant, instead of talking about the black on black crime without even bringing up the white on white crime against black people, which is racism, how about we talk about that? As a matter of fact, how come you're not meeting with the city officials, finding out how come they're not hiring more black folks on the jobs? Maybe you might want to look into some of those things. Yes, there is black on black crime across America, but it goes to say that there's also white on white crime, and that's not even being addressed. And that's on large numbers. And when that happens, it affects a whole lot of people. Like what happened in Las Vegas with Stephen Paddock when he shot up all those people at the country western concert. Yeah, things like of that nature. And there's plenty other examples that I could give to you. While you're just bringing up black on black crime, we need to also discuss white on white crime. No, this is not deflecting. It's about responsibility and accountability on all parts, on all sides. If you're going to bring up one, you need to discuss the other. It's just that important. One goes with the other. You can't have one without the other. But anyways, people like you make me sick. You really do. You make me sick because you come off and you appear to be like a coon. Because we've heard this story before. We know we need to have this discussion. We've been having this discussion. And the police don't really want to do anything about black on black crime. Aside from just locking up people at will and killing us in the streets. Again, if you fix that, then you might get the cooperation from the black communities. Fix police brutality and racial injustice, and then you'll get the cooperation of the black community. It's that simple. This is Black Talk Radio. I appreciate you hanging in there and watching this video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out.